Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Tuesday, Major League Baseball. First up, the Rockies and the Tigers. We have Bradley Blaylock and Kiter Montero as your starters. This is actually a tough game because the Rockies have been a little bit more competitive in recent road games than what we're used to seeing from them. There's still 30 games under 500 on the road this season, 31 games, but they took that series against the Brewers. They took the final game in that series against the Braves. So they're playing a little bit better, but the problem for me is Bradley Blaylock, his last two starts, he was pitching pretty well in his first couple of games at the Major League level, but those last two starts, 7 walks, 10 earned runs, 11 total runs, couple of bombs and only 9 innings of work. And, I just think that the Tigers are going to be able to get to him. And while Montero may not be my favorite option on the other side, I still think the Rockies lineup on the road, while it's been, situationally solid to win these games, I mean, even in their wins on the road, they won 4-1, 3-2, and 3-1. It's really been because of their pitching staff. So I think the Rockies offense struggles in this game. I think the Tigers get to Blaylock and the Rockies bullpen, and I like the Tigers to win this game on the run line. Next up, the Rays and the Phillies. We got Taj Bradley and Ranger Suarez on the mound. We mentioned the Rays have not been the best lineup against lefties in the last month, so I don't really love their matchup here against Ranger Suarez, who had a bounce-back start in his last game. And Taj Bradley, it was nice to see him earn 10 strikeouts in that most recent outing, but he still gave up 4 earned runs, and he's still giving up a lot of sharp contact recently. I'd say he's not in good form overall, and especially on the road where he's been not as good, 4.86 ERA. The Phillies, I think, will be able to get to him for a few runs early. I like the Phillies to win this game and cover the run line at Citizens Bank Park. Next up, the Braves and the Nationals. We're going to see Reynaldo Lopez and Mackenzie Gore on the mound. I'm going to take a shot here with the Washington Nationals, getting a great price on the money line, or you could take 1.5 runs. But while Reynaldo Lopez has pitched well, the Braves have lost 2 of his last 3 games, and those were as pretty sizable favorites against the Rockies and against the Nationals. These Nationals, where they were, he still pitched well in those games, but they were 5-1 and 3-1 losses. And with Mackenzie Gore now back in good form, we know he was struggling quite a bit, and right after the All-Star break, and he was giving up a lot of sharp contact. But we've seen his last few starts, his last 3 games, 2 earned runs or fewer in all those starts. The strikeout numbers are starting to pick it up as well. The control's been a lot better. Only 2 walks given up in those last 3 games combined. And by the way, one of those starts was against the Atlanta Braves. 6 innings, 1 run, 1 home run. It was just 1 mistake pitch, really. No walks and 4 strikeouts. So I think Gore's going to be good enough here. Keep the Nationals in this game. This has been one of the more profitable teams in baseball. I think they take this one. I'm going to take the Nationals on the money line. Next up, the Royals and the Yankees. Seth Lugo and Marcus Stroman are your starters. Seth Lugo's in good form right now. He's had back-to-back strong outings against the Guardians and the Astros, 7 innings apiece of 1-run ball against division-leading teams in the AL, and now you face another one here in the Yankees. And, I think, Lugo's faced the Yankees earlier this season. He was okay in that game. It was 7 innings of 4-run ball. It wasn't his best start, but definitely kept his team in the ball game and kept the ball on the ground as well. Really important when you're facing a lineup with Aaron Judge, Stanton, Juan Soto. If you're able to keep the ball on the ground like he did with a 14-9 ground ball to fly ball ratio, you give yourself a much better chance. And, Marcus Stroman hasn't been the best season for him. He's not been great at Yankee Stadium. 4.86 ERA at home this year. His last game against the Rangers, 5 earned runs, 9 base hits. I think the Royals can get to him. I think the Royals either win this game or at least cover the run line. So give me KC in this one. Next up, the New York Mets taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. David Peterson and Bowden Francis are your starters. I didn't think by this point in the season, September 10th, that we'd be saying David Peterson and Bowden Francis are 2 of the hottest pitchers in baseball, but that's the case. I mean, both starters have given up 3 earned runs or fewer in each of their last 5 games. The strikeout numbers have been there, especially for Francis. And when you look at these lineups, the Blue Jays have not been great against lefties in the last month. The Mets are off to a not-so-great start against righties in the month of September, and their strikeout rate's been through the roof in the last 30 days against righties. I like the under here in Mets Blue Jays. Next up, the Orioles and the Red Sox from Fenway Park. We're going to see Albert Suarez and Cutter Crawford on the mound. I like the opposite in this game. I like the over and a very hitter-friendly ballpark. You got Suarez coming off a start against the White Sox where he got crushed against the weakest lineup in baseball. Now you're at Fenway against a much tougher opponent. I think Suarez struggles. Crawford, we know, has not been great. Recently he had a pretty good start to the season, but now he's got a losing record, an ERA above 4. The Red Sox have lost his last 4 games, and I think the Orioles can get to him for a few runs early. I think the bullpens are both suspect right now, so give me the over in Baltimore-Boston. Next up, the Angels and the Twins. We got Griffin Canning and Pablo Lopez as your starters. I think after this game, we'll finally see Pablo Lopez's ERA below 4 on the season. It's been above 4 and above 5 for a majority of the year, but he's been very sharp recently, and the Twins have won 4 of his last 5 games. I think he puts together a strong outing, a quality start. I think the Twins win this game and cover the run line. But, Griffin Canning, got to give him credit for that last game against the Dodgers, a very tough matchup. 6 2/3 of 1-run ball, pretty impressive stuff there with 7 strikeouts. He did give up, though, 4 walks. Again, it makes it back-to-back 4-walk performances. I think the Twins take advantage of that. Give me Minnesota in this one. Next up, the Guardians and the White Sox. We got no official starter for Cleveland, but Jonathan Cannon should be going for Chicago. When you look at Jonathan Cannon, he's been better at home this season. He's coming off a sharp outing against the Orioles where he went 5 2/3 of 1-run ball. Ended up being a White Sox blowout win against the Orioles, 8-1 the final score. And now you see a Guardians lineup that's been pretty inconsistent, I would say, in the last month. And their bullpen's also not been the sharpest. We're used to seeing and considering this Guardians bullpen to be one of the best bullpens in baseball, if not the best in the American League. But in the last month, it's 18th in xFIP. The ERA is still solid, but the expected numbers are concerning. And I think the White Sox, if this is more of a bullpen game for Cleveland, which we've seen them do a few times this year, I think the White Sox can get on the board early and at least have the lead through the first 5 innings. So give me Chicago plus a half a run in the first 5. Next up, the Cincinnati Reds taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. We're going to see Rhett Lauder and Andre Pallante as your starters. Lauder's pitched pretty well in his first couple of starts at the major league level, but his expected ERA is in the 4 so far, and had 4 walks in each of those first 2 games against Milwaukee and Houston. The Cardinals have been a solid lineup against righties in the last month, and they have a high walk rate and a low strikeout rate to go with it. That could benefit them in a game like this. And Pallante may not be the best of Busch Stadium. He's not coming off his best start against the Brewers, but Cincinnati's just been so-so against righties in the last 30 days. I think Pallante has a better chance of bouncing back here and grabbing a win for the Cardinals at home. So give me St. Louis in this one. Next up, we see the Oakland Athletics taking on the Houston Astros as Valdo Bido and Spencer Arrighetti are your starters. Bido pitched well in his bullpen appearance in the last game against the Tigers, and he's pitched very well in the second half of the season as a starting pitcher for Oakland. He's been a very profitable pitcher as well. I really like what I'm seeing, and I think that he can be a big piece for this A's franchise as they try to rebuild their franchise. But I just don't love this matchup or this spot for Bido. And when you look at that last start against the Mariners back on September 2nd, he gave up 4 earned runs in only 5 1/3 innings. He only had 4 strikeouts against a team that strikes out left and right. Gave up a home run against a not-so-great lineup in general. So that was a concern for me. Now you go on the road against the Astros team that we know has been strong offensively in the second half of the season. And, in terms of their numbers against righties in the last month, they're right up there in OPS and ISO. Pretty low strikeout rate to go with it. I think Bido struggles. And, while Arrighetti got crushed in that last game against the Reds at Great American, that was at Great American. The defense did not help him out. I think he bounces back here. We've seen a couple of starts from Arrighetti where he's gotten crushed, and he still put together a decent rookie campaign. I mean, before that outing against the Reds, he was pitching really, lights out baseball. I mean, he had a no-hitter deep into that game against the Phillies a couple of starts ago. So now at Minute Maid Park, where he's been better, I think he bounces back. I think the Astros win this game and cover that run line at Minute Maid. Next up, we see the Padres and the Mariners. We got Yu Darvish and George Kirby on the mound. Now, I'm going to go with the Mariners in the first 5 innings in this one. George Kirby, we know, has been a lot better at T-Mobile. He pitched well in that last game. And, San Diego, while they've been a tough lineup, I still think Kirby can put together a quality start. Yu Darvish, I think, will eventually get back to form and be a very crucial piece in this Padres rotation in the postseason. But right now, his first start back from injury was not great against the Tigers. 2 2/3, 3 earned runs, a home run, 2 walks. We mentioned that he didn't have a rehab start before returning to Major League action. His last rehab start was in June. So he pitched 1 simulated game. He pitched that 1 game against Detroit, which was only 2 2/3. I'm still not ready to back him in this spot. Even though the Mariners have not been a great lineup, I think they'll be able to get to him for a few runs. So give me Seattle in the first 5. Next up, we see the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. We got Nathan Eovaldi and Zach Gallen as your starters. Both of these pitchers, I would say, it hasn't been the most consistent season for them, and injuries play a role in that, but they still have great numbers on paper on the year. I mean, Gallen 11-6 with that 3.69 ERA. I think Gallen, though, is the better option in this one, and I think the Diamondbacks have the much better lineup to go with it, and that's why I'm willing to back Arizona in this game. The Rangers, we know, have just not been great against right-handed pitching this season. I will say they are improving, and they had a solid series against the Angels offensively, but the Diamondbacks, they have been arguably the best lineup in baseball against right-handed pitching since the All-Star break. They should be able to get to Evaldi and win this game at home. Give me Arizona in this one. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the San Francisco Giants. We're going to see Hayden Birdsong and Aaron Savale on the mound. Now, we saw the same pitching matchup back on August 29th in Milwaukee. Ended up being a Brewers win 6-0. Birdsong struggled with his control and gave up 5 earned runs and a home run to go with it. Savale was excellent. He was 7 innings of 7 strikeout ball, and of course, a shutout and a 6-0 win. For me, though, I do think Birdsong is going to be much better in this game. Now, he has to watch the walks. He has to be, sharper with his control. That's been the big problem for him, is the walks. But he still has really good strikeout stuff, and I think he was a little bit unlucky in that game against Milwaukee. I think he should have been able to limit the damage, in my opinion, but a couple of breaks didn't go his way. Savale on the other side, while he pitched well in that game against San Francisco, in his career, we know he's given up a lot of home runs. He gave up another one in that last game against St. Louis. The Giants have not been the best lineup against righties this season, but the one thing they do well is hit the home run ball, and they've been, in the top 15 in isolated power against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days. I could see them getting a home run or two against Savale in this start, and the question is it going to be enough for a San Francisco win? I think it will be. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game and a game that the Giants win. I mean, we saw Milwaukee play pretty poor baseball, especially offensively, against the Rockies this past weekend at home. I'm not in love with their spot here against San Francisco. I'm going to roll with the Giants and the under in this one. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Shota Imanaga and Yoshinobu Yamamoto are your starters. The two biggest Japanese free agents going at it in this one. They've had great seasons. Yamamoto, we know, is returning from the injured list, but his numbers on the year pretty sharp in 74 innings of work, 2.92 ERA, 84 strikeouts, 1.07 WHIP. Imanaga, 12-3 record, 2.99 ERA. He'll get some Cy Young votes, 155 strikeouts in 153 innings. He's in great form right now. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in his last 5 starts. For me, I have to trust him a little bit more in this matchup than Yamamoto, who is returning from that big injury. The Cubs have been a solid lineup against righties in the last month, and I think Imanaga is going to be the better option by the end of this game. Give me the Cubs in this one on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and put those baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.